Hello, and welcome to another month of our Oneness conversations. We are already in the month of October of this year, which is a beautiful month, and we're celebrating beauty today. So, how fitting is that? I just love it. If you are new to me, you haven't seen me before, my name is Kim Lyde. I am a board certified music therapist, holistic healing coach, and now also an infinite possibilities trainer. So very excited to be here and share my heart and soul with all of you as we step into the beauty that is surrounding us today. Everywhere in the world, even in the midst of pain and sorrow, there's always beauty to be found. So I'm going to turn it over to our fearless leader, Judith, and she's going to open us in our monthly circle today.
Well, thank you so much, Kim. And today I'm very blessed to see that we have a guest that's sitting in with us today that's a new friend, and that's Lolly, and she's from Maryland. And so, in our circle today of four, I would just like to invite all of us to take a moment to sort of quiet our minds and open our hearts and create some sacred space for this next hour of conversation from our hearts to your hearts who may be listening either now or in the present or the future. In a world of rather big turmoil right now, I think there's nothing more powerful than taking a moment to give thanks and gratitude for the lives that we all have and the privileges that we have as human beings who can actually have conversations of the heart using internet, science, and technology, and spirituality in new ways to bring hope to each other and to bring hope to those in the outer world that may be listening to this program in the future. We know the world right now is in a state of extreme imbalance, and we know that all our universal citizens are experiencing great pain and suffering. And so we'd like to send love and light to all parts of the planet right now, to people that may be going through extreme pain. May we always realize that in as much pain as there is in the world, there is also compassion. And so I would like to ask us all to take just a moment to give thanks and gratitude for life that helps us to get better. We give thanks and gratitude for our lives that lead us forward to get better at being more humane with each other. We also honor that these are times of great sorrow. And so, in the deep grief of humanity's journey forward to get better at being human, to live from care and compassion, we send light and higher consciousness to all world leaders that they might find the resolve to say one word: enough to man's inhumanity to man. And in future generations, the lighting of the eighth fire of prophecy, where we will gather as one humanity and care for each other in ways by which children of the tomorrow will live from peace, hope, love, and joy in co-creating the world that we all yearn to have and to see. And so it is, we see this in our mind's eyes and in the lives that we seek to be the ones we have been waiting for. And so it is. We give thanks and gratitude that there is always hope as we change ourselves and our own attitudes. So thank you, everyone, for being here today in these times of great challenges. Our theme today is beauty. And because of beauty, we are all here today to begin to see what beauty means for each and every one of us uniquely. So when I see a newborn child born of any species, I see the beauty of an essence that touches me deeply. And whatever I see, I could not see unless the same was in myself. So I'd like to invite Joey, who's also our co-spiritual, to share a few words of what beauty means to him as we go around the circle today and share what does beauty mean to us uniquely.
Thank you both. Lovely to be here with you. I'm Joey, an emotional healing practitioner. I help people to become best friends with their body, so they can help to heal the traumas of the past and change who they are currently to be better versions of themselves for the future. And for me, beauty, what's most visibly apparent to me now is the changing of the seasons. I was born and raised in California, so there's not much seasonal change that's very visible. And being here in Colorado since 2011, I just am constantly enamored by the change of the seasons with the different colors that are possible. As you get further east in the United States, it gets more and more colorful. And right now, the trees are starting to change colors. So we got yellows and reds and light greens, and fall is arriving. So that's kind of one of the beauties that I just am enamored by every single year, where it kind of slows me down, and you take a moment just to watch and just to see the seasons change. This last month, I was blessed to see probably 20 bald eagles. Um, I was just in the backyard hanging out and looked up and saw one that was flying around, and all of a sudden that there was a second one. You could see them kind of moving around and dancing in the air, and then kind of just was watching them for a little while, and then realized that there was more that were even higher, and just to see like how high they could fly was absolutely amazing. And the more that it was so hard to see that they were there, and then as you could see them cross one another, then it's like there was another and another and another. And I'd say they're probably like 15 to 20 that I was able to see flying around all at once at different heights. So that was such a gift to be able to see such a large bird like that. Um, and I think I've maybe only seen it a handful of times through my life, never that many at once at various heights. And then another beautiful thing that's happened in my life is going to be an uncle times two. So my older sister uh, just became an uncle for my niece that's about to turn 2 years old. And I went to a family wedding a couple weekends ago and got the news that they're going to have a second. So I'm going to be uncle times two. Very excited about that. Sometime in April of next year. So very happy for that blessing, and then excited to see what comes around the corner. And as Judith mentioned, there's lots of things out of our control in which politics happens in the world, and all these emotionally traumatized people make in high levels of power that make the decisions that are made that we don't really have any control of, and just get the repercussions of that. But even within that, there's a lot of beautiful things that happen in the world, and us coming together and choosing not to continue those traumatic responses, and instead do the work to be around those that have love in their hearts and want to be good people and want to create a good world, are the reason why I'm here today and want to continue these calls, and continue to cherish and nourish those relationships. So lovely to be here with you all. That's going on. That's what's going on for me this last month, and beauty is all around us. And either Kim or Judith, if you'd like to continue as well.
Well, thank you so much, Joey. It's just an absolutely amazing time when we look at the seasons of nature. If we're lucky enough to have more than one season in the parts of the world in which we're living. And because I live on the Algonquin Anishinaabe territory of the First Peoples of Canada, whose ancestors have been here since time immemorial, I live in a magnificent area of Canada, close to what is called the Gatineau Park and the Mackenzie King Estates, and it's in the province of Quebec. And we're noted for the splendor of the fall autumn season, for people coming from all over the area of Ontario and Quebec to make an annual Mecca up to these estates that were gifted to Canada by former Prime Minister Mackenzie King. And because I'm very much engaged in being a political, holistic, spiritual, peace warrior, activist, now that's a mouthful, isn't it? I see that it's the nature that brings us the glory of humanity's journey forward to the always more of beginning to see what wonderful souls we are. Despite the challenges of life and wars, there is also this powerful, powerful energy inside us all that yearns and seeks to express through us the beauty of our own souls and our spirits. So, as a spiritual director in a universalist perspective, I see that the journey of newborn children that come into our world every day, to have beautiful uncles like you, Joy, have a second one to love and play with. One of the things that modern parents need today is aunties and uncles, many of them that may not choose to be married or have families in a traditional sense, but they need to have loving, nourishing people bring the joy of children to all of us, to remind us that the world will always continue despite humanity's injustices to each other. The world will always continue through the newborn life of all species, reminding us that it's in nature that we truly find ourselves. So, in that note, I know Lolly's sitting in today, and I'd like to invite her to say a little bit about living in Maryland and what does the splendor or the beauty of nature mean to you in relation to the few comments we've made so far, Lolly.
Thank you. And thank you for letting me join you today. Um, well, it's extremely beautiful here. The leaves are just sort of beginning to change. Well, it varies, but yeah, we have definitely have the four seasons in Maryland, and behind my house are a patch of woods. So we do, so we're very blessed because we have lots of sunlight, but we also have lots of trees, and 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 it's just gorgeous. And sometimes I'm a caregiver for my mom, and sometimes we just sit on the balcony and feel like we're in a tree house and look out at the trees in amazement, and sometimes birds. um but so yeah, it's very beautiful in this area for sure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It just reminds me so much of the beauty of my own backyard where we have birds coming and going all the time. And it actually resonates to the story of what Joey was referring to with the bald eagles, the magnificence of all our relations. The ones that fly, they say, are the closest to the God of our limited understanding, closest to Creator, the all that is. And they see the bigger picture. But down here, we're beginning to see the significance of our own journeys and how significant it is to have a wonderful daughter like you caring for your mom and you both taking in the beauty of your backyard and nature. That is so significant for us all in these challenging times to take these time outs to be present to what we sometimes miss because we're so busy rushing. And in modern life, we're having so much challenges trying to make ends meet right now. And so, Kim, I know you're a wonderful mom with a nice newborn one that's keeping you on your toes. Share us a little bit of what's happening for you in the beauty of nature and the beauty of having a nice newborn child that's reminding you of what a wonderful soul you are with your spouse.
Well, it's so funny how you say, to take that time out. Um, I have found and I find this all the time, but it keeps coming back. I have found that if I do not intentionally take a time out, life will happen to make me take a time out. So I have found myself sick, and my baby is sick. We're both sick. Um, so I'm staying home because we tested positive on Wednesday night. So, have to be home through Sunday, and then Monday we can go out with masks. But that taking that time, I was able to spend all day yesterday snuggling my baby. um And I haven't had that opportunity really since she's been born because I've been working. You know, she was born and I was able to take like a week or two off and spend that time, and then it was back to work because the bills have to get paid. And so I have not had the time to just sit and snuggle my baby, you know, for any extended period of time. So I was actually thinking about what a gift it was yesterday. I mean, I hate that we're sick, but it's, as you can see, it's pretty mild. It's, you know, not bad for us. Um, but I thought it was such a gift to be able to have the opportunity to just sit and snuggle with her and you know, relax. I've been thinking about for the past few weeks, like, oh, I need a break, I need a break, I need to relax. And then here it is. Life was like, all right, you're getting a break whether you want it or not, and it's happening right now. And thankfully it goes into the weekend, so it's kind of perfect timing, really. Funny how life does that. And what you said about nature too is also bringing forward something that helped calm her. She had a bit of a restless night last night, which is typical for her. In the evening time, at the end of the day, she typically starts to have a hard time settling and she'll get fussy. But of course, being sick, it's even more so. So last night she was inconsolable for maybe like an hour or two. Not constant, but my wife had said, you know, I heard somewhere that if you take a baby that's not settling, if you take them outside, it'll help them settle. So we have a balcony, and I took her onto the balcony, and she was screaming. She was like screaming like we were killing her. We weren't. But she was screaming because she was so unhappy. And I walk onto the balcony and like silent. She just got silent and was like looking. I'm like, oh wow, yeah, you see the moon? Isn't it nice and fresh out here? And like just taking her into the cool night air, she was like, oh, okay. It was like this whole new world for her, you know. And then she got fussy again. But how powerful that was to be able to just take her outside and give her a literal breath of fresh air that did her a world of good to help her calm a little bit so that she could get the rest that she needs. So it, again, it's beautiful. It's beauty. There's beauty. It's, you know, a sad situation that we have to be home like this, but there's beauty in it because it's bringing us closer together, that we have our bonding time, and it's allowing us to take the time to look at nature and appreciate the beauty that we were too busy running around to appreciate before. So that's what's happening for us today.
What a powerful story of the times in which we're going through, where there's so many challenges put on the plate of modern day parents. And I love the imagery of the child being the teacher, the baby being the teacher. I need some fresh air. And shifting the baby onto the balcony where she can. And I really believe that these beautiful souls that are being born, particularly at this time on the planet, are here to remind us of our essence, of the beauty of life. But we also need to have fresh air and to see the beauty of nature. And I often wonder what a newborn child sees. And I swear they see something like, you notice a dog never gets fooled when a loving energy comes in that's not fearful of dogs. They'll go right to them. And cats too, they observe. And I swear newborn babies are just so highly spiritual. They're brand new, coming from another realm of awareness. And they're here giving us a message that life will continue in new ways, that creation is working. And creation works in nature and in the glory of newborn babies, reminding us that they're here to teach us about something we may have forgotten. Mommy needs fresh air too. So having a walk every day and getting out into the fresh air, whatever way we can, really restores the energy for all of us. Joy, you work a lot with trauma. I would expect you could share a little bit of insight into what the work that you're doing I hold space to listen to people so they can talk and express and create from themselves deeply messages from their most sacred selves. And I call it mining of the soul. But when we talk about trauma, when a baby's not feeling well, it's no different than us. We have a little child that gets wounded. And sometimes we can't talk or put language to what we're feeling, but we know we're not feeling good. So tell us a little bit about trauma, Joey, and what you do in the work that you're doing that helps us to move beyond trauma.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, the definition I kind of work on with trauma is that it's any moment of high stress. And being unwell in the moment is can be a moment of high stress. And I think it's really just a base component that, at least as we get older, we want to have some certainty in life. We want to have control over things in our life. And when we have moments that don't allow that, which are moments of high stress, we either surrender to those moments of high stress, or we try and control and or distract ourselves or fight it. And it seems to be not worth the energy, at least in the work that I do with healing from trauma, is that the best that we can surrender to those moments of high stress and do the best that we can in those moments, and not layer more and more emotions on top of more and more emotions. Usually the shame and the guilt and the other things that we layer on top of the initial emotions, the better we can adapt to those moments of high stress. But we can't always do it in the moment. Sometimes it's hard to even recognize we're there. And so that's usually the work that I do, is help people to recognize after those moments have passed, that there were these moments of high stress that were difficult. They see these emotions coming back again and again in their lives, and realizing it's a program in a way that we can address, so that that situation that occurred is essentially a doorway into their healing. So recognizing that these situations are happening over and over again, that becomes the doorway to be able to access it through the body, because the body is almost the mind is almost like a time machine. If you can find these situations in your life where these things are occurring, then the body will respond appropriately if that emotional, physical sensation trigger is still there. And that becomes the way to actually heal that pattern for a lifetime, so it doesn't continue. Yeah, and so there's been some interesting cases where that's been able to happen recently with a few of my clients, in terms of anxiety around different types of stomach issues, or habits around nail biting. Some kind of cases that I hadn't really expected it to work with, but have these roots in some different emotions. And it's interesting, like with what you were saying, Kim, it's like in a way your child knew and did the best they could to express, I needed an environment change. And you did the best you could trying to understand what that signal was, of like, I can tell that my child is not feeling well right now. Is it just because it's physically not feeling well from being a little bit sick, or is it that something is needed and a change in the environment to help ease that discomfort? And I'm sure you tried many things until you realized, like, let's go outside. And then you went outside. It's like, oh wow, even if it was only a few seconds of that lack of discomfort, that was relief in a sense. And so it's like you were able to interpret that signal, and whatever your child did to produce that signal actually got the result of what was needed, which was a little bit of space and time outside to have that relief. And I think we kind of do this as adults too, where we have these internal signals of screaming and crying, but we don't always know how to interpret what is the thing that's actually going to allow that feeling to resolve itself. And it comes down to that we have this natural capacity to be able to self-regulate, and we learn different ways in which to control or enhance that process throughout our lives, through our social interactions. And I think there's just better and better ways to do that. And what it comes down to is allowing ourselves to surrender to these feelings when they arise, and be more in tune with our environment, with what nature is showing us. In the same way that you were saying, Kim, it's kind of a double-edged sword to not feel well. It's like on one side, you actually wanted the space and time to be with yourself and with your child. And it was really hard to create that because of all of the external requirements for bills and everything else. And then the body created that moment for you of like, oh, well, we're going to not feel well, which is like a double-edged sword, because like you don't feel good when you don't feel well, but also opens up this entire possibility where everyone understands like, okay, take care of yourself. You don't need to keep producing, and then you get all these beautiful opportunities that now you can hang out with your child and have more of these special moments together while you're both not feeling well, which allows you to have a lot of fun together at the same time. So it's beautiful how not feeling well can also create really beautiful situations, but yet it's also the eye of the beholder. Like you choose to find those moments and create those moments, and you choose to find the silver linings in difficult situations. And I think that those are always there. It's just whether we put effort into looking for those things and discovering them, because beauty is in the eye of beauty is in the eye of the beholder, is often said.
That's amazing when you're talking about beauty being in the eye of the beholder. Insight is also in the eye of the beholder. And so as I'm listening to Kim's story and you building on it, Joey, it's interesting, Kim, because I love medicine in the form of a sense of humor. And I think you might want to look back at that powerful experience that you're sharing to help many young couples with newborn babies. We all have moments like that, and babies can't communicate in the language of speech in the form of words, but they sure have the language of crying to give us a very clear idea that they're not happy. And I'm just thinking, in the years forward, as she grows, you can remind her that there was a moment in time where she helped you to heal, because she helped you to understand all she needed was to have a timeout and get some air. And I think the modern day parent of today, they need to have those timeouts every day, get some air, go for a walk in nature, and restore their energy to cope with the many challenges that modern families, the modern nuclear family, are dealing with today. Because these times are challenging, and in the beauty of nature, we can actually get regrounded and rerooted. As Joey says, we all have triggers because we all have trauma. And once we become more conscious of what our triggers are, we can be in a responsive mood rather than a reactive mood. But it goes back to ancient scripture and the early psalmist who wrote very clearly thousands of years ago, physician, heal thyself, be still, know thyself. And I think it's a wonderful time of life where consciousness is coming to the point that an international family of humanity all have the similar challenges, but the better we can get at communicating and honoring that the one human family, all of us have the same issues, and all of us are blessed to have children that are our greatest teachers. So when we continue this journey forward of understanding why beauty in nature and beauty in ourselves is so necessary for us to celebrate, we find that in every newborn child, we have this journey forward for humanity. And so, Lolly, as you're listening to this conversation, do you have anything or insight or inspiration you'd like to share with us right now?
Well, I was just thinking about my own son and how my son is 33 years old, and how much he inspires me, and how much, I receive from him, how much I am blessed by him. And yeah, so that's what it brings to mind. I was a single mom, and my son, he went through some hard times growing up, but he's an amazing person and so strong. And anyway, that's just what it made me think. I'm so lucky to have him in my life. So yes, we definitely learn so much from our children. Um, yeah.
Thank you. You're reminding me of how rich life can be through our children and our grandchildren, and through all our friends that are significant to our journey as being human. We can be great inspirations for each other, and we all go through challenges, but in every challenge is the opportunity for growth, and to see that there's always a way by which we can see in every experience, every event, it shapes and molds us to gain more wisdom and insight, to inspire our imaginations for the always more of reaching our full potentiality as humans. And our children can be our greatest, and are, I think, from my perspective, our greatest teachers. I remember years ago, my son was going to CEGEP and getting a lot of psychology courses. And one day he said to me, "Congratulations, Mom." And I said, "Oh, what for, Rob?" He said, "Well, I just tried to trigger you and you weren't triggered." So they're great teachers, particularly for every generation. We come through in a certain way that we're conditioned, and every generation helps every generation get better at being human, because being human is not easy. And again, Joy, you might want to build on that. When you're helping people that have nail biting issues and simply are reacting from so much stress, uh, how do you help people begin to restore themselves through laughter, as well as understanding this too will pass. Next year, you'll laugh at what you just experienced as great pain today, but we won't see it in the moment. But down the road, sometimes we can see things in new ways. So would you like to expand on that, Joey?
Yeah, I mean, most of it's through the body, so it's not like language that really helps to express it. But I guess if I had to, in terms of like modeling and understanding through language, it's that humans are resilient, we're anti-fragile, and anti-fragile means that actually hardship is what enables us to be stronger. And so like in the moment of hardship, it's often, we're kind of in fight or flight mode to figure it out and work it. But when we look hindsight, there's actually a lot of growth that came out of those things and provided us new opportunities. And as we begin to heal those patterns, we see a lot of like, positive benefits that came out of these difficulties and these hardships that shaped us into who we are. So instead of it, trauma being something that we're running away from, or that we're blaming others as a perpetrator victim mentality, once that physical representation of that trauma is actually integrated and harmonized, like through the body, it naturally creates this mental structure and this emotional structure where it's I don't have to tell my clients this, like they naturally see it through that emotional resolution within their body physically, that they begin to see those trauma events as something that was vital to who they are today. It's integrated, and it's something that taught them, and they appreciate and have learned from and become stronger by. And so that's where it's kind of an interesting double-edged sword being human, that like life is difficult. Life does take work, but maybe that's actually a natural law, so to speak, of nature and the universe, that living takes work, and it's not always easy. And because it's not always easy, maybe actually that's the beauty and the blessing, is that when we have these difficult situations and moments, that it actually makes us stronger and stronger. And maybe it's actually a requirement to live, is to have these difficult situations that constantly come up against us and make us reanalyze and reevaluate life. and choose, are we going to surrender to this uncertainty and allow it to change us, or are we going to try and fight it and let it be something that we point and blame at for the rest of our lives? I guess it's a choice. So usually when people come to me, they're recognizing that this is something that they want to be able to come to terms with and heal, and have the power to be able to self heal and to transform, and be the phoenix rising, and let it become a new part of them that they can move into a different part of their life. And again, that's kind of through the body and the physical sensations that we all have, and this self regulatory capacity that I guess the universe and God has built within us. But it comes through, I guess, these mental models naturally, that once we resolve that emotional pattern, we no longer carry that trauma with us. And now we literally are a new person that's no longer held back by this weight of the previous life's difficulties.
And maybe then we move on to the next chapter of creating a new cosmology in us all being born. And so Kim, as a wonderful mother, having two daughters in these times of great awareness, when we're beginning to see that parents like yourself, Kim, are just wonderful teachers for the rest of us on how the modern nuclear family is coping during these times, by which not only are the children our teachers, but the modern day parents are our teachers. And so the resilience and the courage and the convictions of having children during this time, as we all evolve to become better at being human, we're seeing a tremendous amount of holistic teachers like yourself, helping people through the process. As Lolly was saying earlier, she's been part of some of your dance classes and joy of singing and helping people live the joy that again helps us to embrace movement is a very powerful tool of shifting energy. So tell us a little bit about the work you're doing as a holistic teacher as it relates to seeing the beauty in all the people that come to you.
Yeah. And I love the what you said about the movement, because just moving the body, like especially with us going through this little phase of not feeling so hot, moving, like I felt that this morning, moving my body, it helps move all the energy around, and creates that it's almost like if you're not in movement, there's this stagnant energy, and then the movement creates flow. So it creates flow and more harmony, because things are changing, things are shifting. So I feel like it opens you up more to explore what possibilities are ahead of you. So as I'm working with people, I do some body work like that, just movement and taking time to breathe in the fresh air, right? And of course I do music as a music therapist. So the thing that comes to mind is with the infinite possibilities training that I became a trainer for. I couple weeks ago I was in Philadelphia starting to introduce that program to the children there, and there's a rap song that goes along with it to sort of teach the different concepts. And children, of course, if you stand there and try to lecture to them, they kind of, they get bored, they look around, they start playing on the floor, and they're not paying attention. But once I started chanting in rhythm, and I had a microphone, this particular event included a microphone, um the kids got, like, you could see them start to move to the beat, and then they all wanted to have a turn with the microphone. So then I'm having them, like, okay, can you read the words, we'll chant it together. And it became this back and forth that would not have happened had we not taken the material and try and done creative with it, to create a flow, to create that movement and the rhythm that in this instance came through words with sound. Um but they just lit up and they got all excited, and and now that they know that there's a rap song that goes along with it, they're excited for next month when I go back and start going through the sessions in order with them. um that they're going to learn it and teach it to their families, and so that's just one example of how I've been seeing beauty in the work that I do with people to help them just get in touch with themselves, to get in touch with their bodies, to feel the rhythm of life, and to share that rhythm of life as a spark, and let it watch it go on down the line. Like before this call, we were talking about the torch, lighting the torch and keeping it lit. Rhythm and music and movement it's a flow. It's like a river. Like it just goes, and it washes over people. So watching that is something that kind of lights me up, that I really enjoy being able to bring to people into the world, to help them get into tune and in touch with what they need to learn. So that's been beautiful for me to see. I just love it. Oh, you're on mute, Judith.
I think that's beautiful because I think what we're touching upon is the power to ignite each other, the fire in each other's hearts, when we're living our passion of doing what we love and love what we do. And there's nothing more powerful than music and singing and dancing. I'm in a drumming group, and it's just so powerfully therapeutic to sing from the heart and drum. And in sharing the stories of past experiences and events, in a good way, drumming really helps to heal the internalized energy. And so when you sing and you dance and you drum and you live from the joy you've come to live from, it shifts the energy of being a creator. And we're all creators. And so despite all the challenges of life, we all have a story. We've all gone through traumatic events and experiences. And it's events and experiences that shape our lives to have insight and wisdom in new ways. So when we see the movement forward to the always more of reaching our full spiritual potentiality, I love in the power of words, things that can unite us as one humanity, to see that we all have pain and trauma, but we all keep rising up. And in us all is this energy that seeks to express itself. So being creative and bringing forth new events or new experiences helps us to be inspired to see that we're also co-creators of a new world that's emerging every day through our hearts and souls, because we yearn to have fun like little children. And the Christ said, suffer the little children to come unto me. Well, it's like all of us have this little child that wants to play and have fun. And so when Lolly was talking about her son as being a great inspiration, and we see the children of all ages being an inspiration, we also see people of all ages, of all cultures, as one universal human family, despite the challenges of being human, because being human is extremely hard. We're still here, and we're still celebrating the power of the creation of the Creator for newborn life of all species. And all of the birds that fly in the air, that see the bigger picture, that are closest to spirit, are reminding us that we're two-legged ones. It's hard being a two-legged one on the planet right now. And so we're beginning to see that in humor, in joy, in love, in inspiration, in vocations of service, such as Joy and Kim and you and I are in. And I'm not sure, Lolly, you're in service too. You're caring for your beautiful mother. You're caring for your son, who brings you so much wisdom and insight. So we're seeing that all generations, all cultures, all human beings are one human family. And we all have our ancestors buried in the ground. And they are cheering us on in these times. These are times of great awakening for us all. And so we're getting close to having our hour coming to an end. But they say in every ending is a new beginning. So next month, Joey, you might want to share that 30 days from now, we're going to be meeting again, and we're going to be speaking on another theme. So would you like us to see what's going on next month before we come to a close of this particular conversation on the beauty in all of us?
Yeah, so we'll be meeting next on November 24th, 2023, and the topic is blessings. So look forward to seeing you at, was it 11 Eastern, November 24th. And Kim, wanted to say that I appreciated your story as well with, teaching the children about music and singing and dance. I think of myself like coming from a family where it seems like dance wasn't the biggest thing. It's like part of my family liked music and dance, and the other part didn't. And so for me, it was more of like a self-conscious thing where it didn't really like naturally arise from within me, I guess. And so as I grew older and with my friends and stuff like that, I realized how it was part of a being social, and so like I had to learn to drop that self-consciousness and to try and find that thing that comes from within, that music kind of imbibes within us. So I think it's so powerful that you're teaching that to children, because then they can tap into that much earlier and realize that it's not something that you need to be self-conscious about, and that it's not something you really like necessarily need to learn. It's just something that arises from within. And it's such an interesting mixture with music, because you have like the music and the tones, which is completely nonverbal and like subconscious in a sense, where it just creates these inner feelings, and that like don't have words always. But then when there's words too, then it's also that logical conscious component that those two kind of dance within a person. And so for children to be able to have access to that, like you're doing a beautiful thing there by bringing this very primal component of what it is to be human, that's like a language that we all have, and has been imbibed with us from the beginning of humanity, in the same way of just like tonal words or tonal letters, I guess, where they create a feeling. And so yeah, very happy that you're doing that with the kiddos, and excited to see that you'll be doing more of those as well. It's a very beautiful thing. Wish I had access to that as being a child, and learning it now, and it's a good thing actually, because of that wedding I went to a couple weekends ago. It's like there was a lot of dancing that was happening there, and in the past I wouldn't be part of it, And then now that I am, like it's something that I cherish and I remember, and I'm excited and glad that I did that during that time period, and don't have that self-conscious piece, which again is part of that self-regulation, realizing like, oh no, this is just what we do. This is fun. It's exciting. Doesn't matter. It's good to be together. Yeah. So again, we'll be meeting November 24th. Blessings is the next topic. And we've got the YouTube recording and the links inside of the chat as well. And so far today, some of the things I wrote down: beauty is movement, harmony and flow. And we talked a lot about the seasons changing, the fall colors arising, and the energies shifting with the temperature, and that we all begin to find new beauty in the new different environment that we'll have throughout this year. And as we all get a little bit colder, we're going to learn to enjoy that coldness, because we can't do anything besides surrender to it and find the beauty in it. And then we'll miss the heat more and more and more. And then when it arises and comes back again, we'll be very excited to have that warmth back, the spring, the flowers, and everything else that comes along with it. But until we get there, I think all we can do is surrender and enjoy and find the beauty in it. And with this conversation as well, it's been lovely to be with you all today. And just if anybody has anything else that they'd like to share before we close up as well, feel free.
Yeah, I would like to do a segue, and in the winter months, a lot of us can actually join Kim, who's doing a powerful project that continues the singing and the dancing thing for all of us in our own homes. So Kim, before we leave, can you share with all the people that may be listening in future to this conversation how we can all begin to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning, no matter where we live, and celebrate dancing the joy of life with you? Tell us a little bit about that project.
Well, that it's so funny because it just started this year out of nowhere. It wasn't planned. It was just I did not want to get up one morning, and I tried to sort of shift my energy and get myself to get up by dancing to a song that was on the radio, and then it kind of stuck, and I shared it, and it's become a thing. um but if you want to get involved, if you're watching this and you're not connected to me already, just send me an email at kim at holistichealingcoaching.com. So that's Kim at holistichealingcoaching.com. And in the subject line, you can put, morning dance parties or something. And I will send you the link to join us. It's only 5 minutes. They're literally 5 minutes long at 8 o'clock Eastern every morning. So it's not a lot of time. It's just one song. And it's a really great way. I was thinking of this, Joey, when you were talking about feeling self-conscious, because I used to feel self-conscious. I would never be caught dead dancing in front of anybody, like ever. In high school, I was the quiet, shy girl. Like I didn't start to come out of my shell until I guess the past couple decades or so, adulthood, basically. Um, but the way that happened was by going to different events and conferences and these kind of self-development and empowerment events where we were basically reinforced for being ourselves and being willing to get vulnerable and kind of feel like an idiot, even though we weren't. But you feel like you are at first if you're not used to it. um and being able to have that experience in a safe space. So an exercise, just real quick, that I'll share that helped me was we did this thing called follow the leader, and all of us in the audience were actually invited to go up on stage at this one event and do crazy dance moves, and the audience had to copy us. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I could do that. I was like, not really in it. But I watched everyone else doing it, and no one did anything fancy. Like sometimes people and did this. Like you don't have to come up with anything crazy. And people to watch everyone following along with you, and then they cheer and they clap. It was just like, oh, I don't have to be good, to be myself. I can just have fun. And people like that. People enjoy that. So it was the process of putting myself in those situations where I could have that space held for me to learn and grow, that helps me personally. But for you guys, if you want to do this at home, I'll bring this back to the dance parties. It doesn't matter what you look like. You can show up in your jammies. And if you're scared, you can keep your camera off. It doesn't matter. Just show up, because my daughter and I, we just move. We don't care. We don't care how you look. We don't care how you move. Just show up and we'll hold space for you too. If you want to get out of your shell a little bit and get out there. All right. So I love you guys. I'm gonna wrap it up before I go on another hour-long spiel. So
Well, thank you so much.
thank you.
Thank you all. It's been just such a joy. And for that beautiful closing, Joey, and updating us when we're meeting the next time, and your thoughts on what has come through this morning from all our hearts. And Lolly, to you, thank you so much for coming in and joining us today. It's been a real privilege to meet you and share with you the joy of beauty and life and blessings. And we hope this raises all of our energy forward in the days ahead as we walk as one for the peace and love of humanity, linking minds and hearts. This is Judith Matheson from Algonquin, Anishinaabe territory in the heart of Canadian democracy, bringing peace to you all as we walk forward together as one universal human family in oneness of the all. So see you next month and bless you all. Deep gratitude, everybody. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.